Homewood Patriot fans. Our third Patriot legend is one of the most beloved sports figures in Homewood history, Doug Gann. Born in 1969 and nearly a lifelong resident of Homewood, Doug played football at the high school during the 1983 to 1986 seasons, graduating in 1987. As we have seen in our previous two episodes, prior to his time at the high school, the Patriots had won a state championship in 1974, but lost head coach Alvin Bresler, tossing the program backwards for several years. The late 70s was the worst of it, but from 1975 to 1982, Homewood won an average of only about 3.6 games per season. Pretty bad. But as we have also already seen in our previous episode with Eric Ramsey, things turned around during Doug's tenure as a Homewood player under the head coaching of his father, Gerald Gann, with the Patriots winning 28 games in 4 years between 83 and 86, an average of 7 games per season. Further, as a player, Doug helped the Patriots to a 10-4 record, a region championship, and the playoff semifinals in 1985, our previous legend Eric Ramsey's senior season. And then, as the starting quarterback, Doug led Homewood to a 12-3 record and the state championship game in 1986, his senior season. This marked Homewood's first state championship game appearance since they won it 12 years earlier. Gann took the field that year with an offense loaded with weapons behind a stout offensive line. That season, Robert Soul Train Porter became Homewood's first 1,000-yard rusher, 1,294 to be precise, which is still the 10th highest in Patriot history for a single season. And Eric Roy led the team with 16 touchdowns, which is tied for 10th most touchdowns in a single season in Patriot history. Meanwhile, Doug passed for over 1,000 yards, with his 56.7 career pass completion rate still the 8th all-time best in Homewood history. At the end of the 86 season, the Alabama Sports Writers Association named Doug as an honorable mention All-State QB, as did the Birmingham News. Gann was only the second quarterback in Homewood history to be named to an All-State list, Murray Legg, as we have seen, being the first. After a college career playing both baseball and football for UAB, and then working a few years in the Hoover school system, Doug came home to the Patriots in 1999 as an assistant football coach. There he remained for the next 18 years, during most of which he was also the head baseball coach, helping lead Homewood to 4 of its 6 state football championships. He then became the Homewood athletic director in 2017 and has just retired after 25 years of service to Homewood in his 33 years as an educator. So, without further ado, please welcome in our third Homewood Patriots football legend, Doug Gann. Hey, Doug. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm honored to be speaking to you on your first official weekday of retirement. How does
Yeah,
it feel?
you are my one and only thing to do today. I have to do today, so it's kind of cool.
Are you ready to embrace retirement, or are you going to try to do something else?
Oh, I'm gonna have a part-time job here before long, and because I can't just sit around do nothing. I got too much energy, and but it
So what are you
gives
going to do?
me
Go be a greeter at Walmart?
no, not to say I'm gonna be working doing a part-time thing with Hoover City Schools and helping doing some stuff with middle school athletics and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Were you born in Homewood?
I was born in Birmingham, Baptist Montclair, so close to Homewood.
So when did your family move into Homewood when you were a little kid, or what?
Yeah, I moved. I lived in Cobble Heights and moved to Homewood when I was in second grade. But I always went to school at Hall. I mean, started off at Hall Kent.
So
My
you were
mom
at
wanted me
Hall
to go to
Kent.
Homewood school.
Do you remember playing Little League Baseball with me, Doug?
I do.
My biggest memory of our Little League days was when we were on opposite teams, and I was playing third base. and you came up to bat and you squared the bunt. And, being third baseman, I did what I was supposed to do. I charged in. And then as soon as I started charging in, you pulled your bat back and you hit it. And it was just a little small pop fly that landed basically where I had been standing before I charged in. And you got on base, and everybody thought that was so hilarious. And then, I was embarrassed as heck. And then the next time you came up, you tried the same thing. You squared the bunt, and this time I didn't run in. I was, you fooled me once, but you didn't get me
Yeah,
twice.
there you go. Well, I don't remember doing that. You would call that a slash in this day and age, and I know that I was not told that back in those days. I don't know why I did that.
Probably because your coach knew how slow I was, that there was no
Well,
way I
it,
would recover. So, but anyway, so you went to Hall Kent, and then the middle school. Did you play football in middle school?
I did, sure
I
did.
thought I thought so. I was on
Started
that
playing
team.
in seventh and eighth grade or seventh grade. Yes,
Yes, we were on that team that won the county championship.
correct. 1981. That's correct.
Yeah, that was good times.
Oh yeah.
That was right about the time that I decided I didn't want to play football anymore. I just wanted to watch it.
That
But
was that was Coach Wright's first year at the middle school, and he started off with a bang. That's for sure.
what did you before you were the starting quarterback? Did you play any other positions?
Well, I played defense. I played a lot of defense my junior year because Ty was our quarterback, and I
Yeah,
figured I'm not gonna get on. I got to get on the field. I'm gonna have to go to the other side, which I did, and played strong safety and
yeah.
loved it.
Ty Elliott, for people who are not familiar,
Right.
and he's kind of a Homewood legend himself.
Him and his brother Chris were the Elliott brothers were the quarterbacks before the Gann brothers became quarterback.
Yeah, all right. They ruled the school. I remember them well. Football aside, I'll come back to football in a minute. What's one of the things you loved most about growing up in Homewood?
Well, just the small town feel that we had here. I mean, everybody got along. Pretty much everybody knew everybody. We all hung out together, and even in high school, you and I and John Durr on the yearbook staff. In high school, and
I can't believe you
um,
remember the yearbook staff. We got into so
oh
much
yeah.
trouble in that yearbook staff.
So, but just the friendships and how everybody got on, especially our class in general. Our class is very close, and I'm not sure all classes are like that, but I feel like we have been that way over the last, what are we, 30 plus years now since we
Yeah,
graduated, almost
yeah, we're
getting
still a
close to
very close.
40. And
Yeah, still a very close class.
yes,
That's for
so
sure.
that's what I really enjoyed about Homewood.
Yeah, I always liked the fact that it felt like a small town, but yet we were right there next to a big city, right?
Correct, exactly.
Yeah. So you had the fortune of playing football for your dad, who himself is an Alabama high school legend, high school football coaching legend, member of the Hall of Fame.
Oh yes.
So, what's it like playing football for your dad?
Well, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you even know this, Glenn. So our eighth grade year, we had spring training in May for going into our ninth grade, and um, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm not playing football next year, and
Really?
I told him this during basketball season. He goes, okay. Kept going on and getting closer to spring training. I said, Dad, I'm not coming out there for spring training. He goes, yes, you are. And I was like, no, you told me I didn't have to play. I said, he goes, nope, you're going to play one more year. And after your freshman year, if you don't want to play anymore, then so be it. But you're going to play your freshman year. And I'm so thankful that he made me play because I had a wonderful, loved my freshman year, and I guess found my love for it again or whatever. And um, but if I'd have quit, I'd have been one of the worst decisions I'd ever made, and my dad wouldn't let me do it, thank goodness. And
Well, yeah,
I was very fortunate he kept me in.
no, you've never told me that story before, and I find it highly ironic because it was right about that same time that I decided that I didn't want to play anymore, and I very distinctly remember you getting on to me about it.
Well, I
And
think because I had such a good time, I said you need to come back and join us.
yeah,
That
I
was
guess
kind
it
of
was something
my
like that. I don't know, but I have a lot of love for your dad. Not only because he tried so hard to get me to play football too, and I just didn't want to do it. But our senior year, I was hanging it because I love football so much. I was hanging out down there at summer practice. Like every
Yeah.
day, I was coming to summer practice just to watch. And your dad finally said to me, I know you don't want to play, but why don't you become a manager? That way you can still be part of the team and hang out down here every day and do something productive.
Yeah.
And then I became a manager, and man, that was the time of my life being a manager. That's my senior year, and some of my fondest memories from high school is because of that, and that's because of your dad. Uh,
Well, I'm glad he got you out there because we had a good year. It was a lot. It was a great little run there, especially in those
yeah,
playoffs, traveling every round.
that's right. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, continue your thoughts about playing for your dad.
There are probably some people that had not very good experiences playing for their fathers in various sports, and but I truly enjoyed it. I mean, I never had a problem with it. He probably got on to me. I know he did more than he got on as much or more than anybody else, and just comes with the territory. But I was pretty hard on myself, so it didn't. I didn't need to be patted on the back all the time. I knew if I screwed up, I deserved it, and that kind of thing. I could take it, and but I truly did enjoy it. I'm very very blessed to have that opportunity.
Besides your dad, who would you name as an assistant coach that had a big impact on you?
Well, I mean, obviously, Coach Jones, Coach Harmon, Coach Newton. I mean, back then there was only and Coach Sheets. We only had, I guess, 4 or 5
Yeah,
assistant varsity coaches. Everybody coached both ways, and
right. Wasn't Newton
all of them
the
had a.
wasn't
Go ahead.
Newton the offensive coordinator?
He was. He
Yeah,
was.
I
And then
thought
Coach
so.
Jones was kind of my position coach, was the position coach back in those days. And so, I was around those guys, all the time, and they were like fathers to me. And they actually dealt with me more than my dad did. They were coaching me more than he was. And no, it was great. Those were great men, great individuals, great coaches. And like I said, that was a great staff they had back in those days.
Absolutely. Uh, the state championship game aside, which we're going to talk about in here in a minute, what's your most vivid game memory?
Well, I do remember, we're down at Stanhope. I was standing we're on defense, and I saw that I can't remember if it was a quarterback run that busted outside, and I'm thinking I can't remember who was standing next to him. It was either Tony Lamoureux or Greg Cascio, and I said, "Well, guys, we had a great year because I didn't think the guy was a little. I didn't see anybody. I didn't see a white shirt anywhere out there,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, I think it was Jody Brandt came out of nowhere and tripped him up somehow, and he went
Grabbed him by
down.
the shoestring.
Yeah, something crazy, and we tackled them, and then we got the ball there on the goal line, and I think I did basically like 3 quarterback sneaks to get it out where we could punt it. And then what I do remember is John Sides was a freshman who had to be our long snapper because Lee Waller was hurt, and I think Billy was dinged up or something. So we had a freshman had to make that snap there out of our own end zone, and I think we took a safety, but still getting it back there to Brian Gennard. And that I really, I always see John a lot, and I still say you're one of my heroes for able to come in there and do that, and did it quite well.
Yeah, boy, I remember that play very vividly as well, or that whole sequence you just talked about very well. Um, okay, what about the championship game? Our senior year, Homewood makes it to the state championship game. We were favored to win because we had rolled through the playoffs, played away games the whole time. We were road warriors. Gaston had lost what about their first 4 or 5 games of the
Yeah, it
season?
started off 0-5 in the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. So we thought, and then we go and play up there. So to talk about that a little bit, Doug.
Well, first, I don't know if you remember, it was bone chilling cold that night. I bet it was below freezing. I'm sure it was very cold.
Now this was
One
in the
thing,
days. We should say this is before they started playing the state championship games at a neutral site. So we had to go to
correct.
Gadsden.
Yeah, we had to go to Gadsden, and they what we didn't realize, or they had a bunch of people hurt, I think, early in the year, and they had some very athletic players that one thing probably for us, we were not the most athletic football team for sure. I mean, we had, speed. I think Chris Reeves and John Dura were our 2 fastest guys, and the rest of us were just pluggers that just loved to play, and and did things. And so their athleticism, I think, caused us some problems there that night. And then, I'll be the first to admit I didn't play particularly well that night, and we still had a chance. I mean, I think we got beat what was it, 13-7, I believe, was the final. And
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
honest, with you, I've never watched the game. I haven't seen it
I don't blame
since
you.
then.
I don't blame
So
you. I remember there was talking about cold. I also remember there was a heavy fog above the stadium that night in the lights.
yeah.
And so it made everything seem like a dream or something like that. And so when I think back on it, I picture it sort of in a nightmarish sort of scenario. Because man, it sure did hurt. But
Oh
that
yeah.
was but looking back, what a glorious season that was.
Well, I remember, the year before, we had a very good football team and got beat in the semifinals. I think it was 9-7. If we win that game, we'd won the state championship. And I remember going into the year because we lost so many senior starters, with a bunch of great players. And I remember thinking, oh, if we can go 5-5, that'd be a good year with us, and lo and behold, we actually played better and went further. And but once we got going, it was our guys believed and that we could get it done. And like so, you remember the semifinal game against Eufaula, we kept the ball like the last 8 minutes of the game.
Yes,
And
yes,
when
yes.
when momentum had turned, they'd scored two touchdowns, or at least I think they scored two touchdowns pretty quick on. I think we were up 21-0, and the next thing it was 21-14, and we just kept the ball the rest of the game. And it was things like that. So it was a lot of belief in amongst us, and we just going to get it done.
Yeah, well, we should say that your time at Homewood was when Homewood sort of turned it around after, some bad years in the late 70s and the early 80s.
Well, my sophomore year, we made it the first round of the playoffs. First time we've been in the playoffs since '74, and that was the football season of '84. And so, the seniors, the John Bertashaws, trying to think who else, Mo Green, trying to think some of those seniors on that team. And then the next year we made the semifinals, and then obviously our senior finals.
Yeah, so got the program headed back in the right direction, and I feel like
Yeah,
it's
I mean, it would, just I think those three classes combined, were pretty good. Anytime, and this, anytime you're gonna have a successful run in football, you gotta stack some classes per se. You can't have a really good class and then an awful class. You got to have players in all classes to make something special happen. And so I think that was a accumulation of having three pretty good classes back to back to back.
yeah. Doug, I don't know if I ever told you the story. I think I probably have, but you probably have forgotten it because it's been so long. But my one of my biggest memories of you as a quarterback, it was a home game our senior year. And we were down there at the goal line about to punch it in for a touchdown. I can't remember who we were playing or anything like that, but I remember that Ron Ingram, who is now the media communications guy for the Athletic Association, at that time he was a reporter for the Birmingham News.
Right.
Remember when he was a reporter back in those
Yeah.
days? Anyway, I was down there on the sideline, as a manager, and I ran down there to the goal line to watch us punch it in, and I was standing right next to him. And before we snapped the ball, you checked off to something. I don't know what it was all about, but you checked off to something, and we scored. And after we scored, Ron Ingram turned to me and he said, and I always remember this, and this is an exact quote: "That's the smartest high school quarterback I've ever seen."
Well, I don't know. I mean, good thing Coach Newton, they gave me some freedom about. I just didn't check off just to be checking off, but there were certain looks that they gave us. We had had the right to, like I said, in that playoff game against Eufaula, I called every play from the line of scrimmage in that last 8 minutes. It was just basically we called a formation and check with me was what I said in the huddle. And we'd go up there and I had to call 35 or 36, and it was either left or right, and wherever, like I said, they had less folks, that's where we went. And so, but they had a lot of trust. And like I said, we worked on we worked on it. We had a read period every day at practice. And, I think I can still do my footwork on doing that kind of stuff. So I probably did it 8 zillion times when I was in high school.
Yeah. Well, don't humble yourself down to away from that Ron Ingram statement. That guy's seen a lot of high school football. And that's always stuck with me about you. But speaking of checkoffs, I think you know what my favorite checkoff play was. 167.
Yeah.
Explain 167 to everybody.
Well, that was just basically it was a one was telling our offensive lineman basically I think they had man blocking up there, basically man in front of them. That's who they had. And then 67 was a three-step drop, throwing a go route, and it was usually to John Dura. So that was when we looked out there. We had a little felt like we could run by. We might check to that, and we probably hit it a few times, and sometimes we didn't.
Yeah, but the times that you hit them, man, it was glorious.
Well, back in those days, we didn't throw it a ton. I mean, we had
No,
um,
it's a
two
totally different ball
200.
game than today. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and of course we had two running backs that were 215, 220, 225 or something like that, and we needed to use those big bruisers, and we
And we
did. And we had
did.
a very good offensive line, and fortunately we didn't have to throw it a whole lot. And but I think we threw it just enough to be dangerous, and you let our line and backs, carry the brunt of the load there and eat up the clock and play possessions and take care of business that way.
Yeah, had a pretty good offensive line too.
Oh yes,
Mike
no doubt.
Turley and
I just saw
William
Mike Turley.
Owens.
I saw
Did
Mike a couple weeks ago. Yes, he like he can still play. So
William Owens,
yeah,
even Michael Brill was pretty
yes,
stout
Michael
up front.
Brill, Craig Fine, and
Yeah, Craig
Jim
Fine.
Burrell. So yeah, they did a heck of a job for us.
Gennard at tight end.
Nard at tight end, correct.
But in the backfield, let's name names. Eric Roy is one of the big backs you were talking about.
Yes,
Uh,
Eric Roy's fullback and Robert Porter was the
yeah,
tailback.
bang bang choo choo train Robert Porter.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, man,
That
that
was a
was
good thing because we ran the veer and with Eric back there, I don't think Eric ever got stopped for a negative play. And I know there's a lot of times we'd go for it on fourth down, 4th and 1, it'd be 3rd and 1, and Eric says, "Don't worry about it. You give it to me, I've got it." You talk about if you miss the read, don't worry about it. I'm gonna get us a yard. And I was
yeah.
like,
I'll
and
get I'll get a
yeah,
yard right. Yeah,
he would for sure.
yeah.
So, but that was nice having him back there for sure.
Do you remember the Vestavia game our senior year? We played them for homecoming.
Correct.
And we were driving late in the game, and we got into a fourth and I don't know what it was, 4th and 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the play was to Gennard. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we ran a tight end dump, basically. Yep,
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
was.
And he grabbed the first down, and we went on in to score. Porter took it in from there. Uh,
Actually, he didn't. I scored on had a quarterback sneak. It was
oh, you
on
had to go. Well, he
yeah.
got us to the goal line.
He got us there for sure. I got the touchdown, but he got us down there close for
Now,
sure.
see, I totally forgot that you were the one that had scored that touchdown.
Yeah,
That's
they were up 6-3 on us at halftime, and I remember Scott Grosky, he was like 6 of 7 at halftime passing. He was going to Auburn to be a quarterback, and in the second half, he was 0 for 12. Coach Sheets came, excuse me, came up something at halftime. I think we started double covering some folk or a guy or something, and
yeah,
basically shut the passing game down. And we were able to move it down the field there late and punch it in, and beat them for the first time. And I guess it was 4 or 5 years. I
yeah, a
guess at
long
that time.
time, and it was in our homecoming. My biggest memory of that Gennard play, for me personally, and you probably don't remember this, is that we had a timeout before it, and being one of the managers, I ran out there with a tray of water.
Yeah.
And I was very emotional. Still am a very emotional football fan. And, I am a manager out there, and I was very emotional. It's Vestavia. It's a stressful moment. And I remember I was standing there crying, basically, and telling all of you in the huddle, whatever happens, I love you guys. I want you to know I love you guys. Whatever happens, I love you. And y'all are standing at me, looking at me like, get off the field, Brasher.
Well,
and, and then
it was one of
Gennard
those
makes that great play. And,
Oh yeah, because I didn't. It wasn't a great throw. I threw it up to six. Was he 6'4", 6'3", where he could get it, and he went up about 7 something to catch it, 7 foot
yeah, and his
something.
ribs played a
And
price for it too.
he did. He got hit, and but he's a tough guy, and I knew he'd make a play, and he did.
Yeah, boy, those were good days, Doug. Okay. Lastly, what do you take the most pride or happiness in about your playing career at Homewood?
Well, as far as football, the playing 3 straight years in the playoffs after we had not been in the playoffs in I guess 10 years. So from 74 till 84, and and then on my sophomore year, Ty had gotten hurt, so I quarterbacked that playoff game. It wasn't a very good playoff game. We got beat up pretty good. And then the next year, we played 4 games in the playoffs, and I played defense. And then the next year we played 5 games in the playoffs. So I got a whole football season extra in my playing career just in playoff games. So 10 games worth, and so that was a really cool thing to get to play that much more football.
Okay, now your entire time at Homewood as an assistant coach, as athletic director, baseball head coach, what do you take the most pride in?
All those playoff games, and we had some great players. It was just great being around those young men and seeing them succeed and seeing the joy on their faces when things went well, and seeing, even having them learn lessons, when things didn't go well. That's part of it. And so, like I said, it's been a great run.
Would you consider the recent upgrades to Waldrop Stadium, including that jumbotron, to be kind of your crowning achievement?
Well, I was. It's really a beautiful place, and I think our football crowds last year, last 2 or 3 years especially, have just, our young people in our community are coming out, and it's a Friday night spectacle. I mean, everybody. I think that's the thing to do on Friday nights is come to Homewood football games, and that's a really cool thing to do, a really cool thing to see, and like I said, that everything all the new things have been built or added on out there just makes it for a great experience.
Yeah, I love that you made sure that our jumbotron was a foot bigger than Vestavia's.
Well, they say it is. Well, I had never actually measured it. They say it is, but it's great. Everything turned out great with that, and we had a class this year in school that we had a lot of students take it ownership, and did a lot of things on Friday night with cameras. That we're about the only school I think that they had like actual live cameras shooting footage on the
Yeah,
jumbotron at
replays
night.
and whatnot. Yeah,
Oh yeah, they did an unbelievable job.
yeah. Do you know offhand how many state championships Homewood Sports won while you were athletic director?
I do, and it's something I'm very proud of us. We've got a great group of coaches there at Homewood. But yeah, I started I guess in mid-April of 2017, and so I'm gonna count the ones that happened late in the spring. But there was 26 state championships and 12 runner-ups, and
That's amazing.
we've had some great. Obviously, our track program has won the brunt of them, but uh, girls soccer, boys soccer have won quite a few state championships in the last 6 7 years. Golf won one this year. Our boys tennis were runner-ups last year. But we've had some, all of our sports have done well. Wrestling teams done well in the state tournament. Softball's made the regionals this year. Basketball team was in the regional finals, this year, and football's made, been in the playoff. Uh, Athletics has been good, and can work well at Homewood.
Yeah, and then the beauty of it is you get to finish your last month with two state championships, boys soccer and
Yeah, I wish there was just
golf.
a few more sports to go because we were hot there at the end. So, but yeah, golf finished it up, and that was a great performance by our golfers. And
Well, I dare say that Doug, no one has had that kind of a run as athletic director at Homewood. I doubt
well,
anybody else.
I don't know about that. As far as that goes, like I said,
We'd have to add up the
blessed.
numbers, but I doubt there's anybody close to it. Well, you watch my interviews with Coach, and you know that I always do this thing that I call neato-stats with Coach. So the conversation that we just had leads perfectly into me doing some neato-stats with you about your career at Homewood. The best neato-stat is the one you just gave: 26 state championships. That's amazing. But uh, first of all, you're one of only 5 Homewood quarterbacks to have been named to the All-State quarterback list. There's honorable mention, but you're still on the list. One of only 5 Homewood quarterbacks to be All-State. As a player, you were involved with 28 wins from your freshman year to your senior year. Now, some games you played more than others. But you,
Right.
as a player, you were involved with 28 wins. As a starting quarterback your senior year, 12 wins in a 12-3 season that ended in the state championship game, as we've just been talking about.
Right.
As an assistant coach, 18 seasons, you were involved with 159 wins, which is amazing, including 4 state championships and a runner-up. And then as athletic director for 7 seasons, you were involved with 47 football wins. So, Doug, that's a grand total of 234 total wins for Homewood football out of 393 total. So that means you, as a player, assistant coach, or athletic director, were involved in 59.5, essentially 60% of all of Homewood's all-time football wins. That is amazing.
Well, I mean, I'm proud of that for sure. I've seen a lot of football games. I think other than Coach Jones, I might be the most football games in Homewood
Well,
history. Witnessed football games.
that was my next point. I don't think any player, I'm for sure, no former player has been involved in that many Homewood wins. And I would dare say that Coach Jones is probably the only coach that was involved with more Homewood wins than you. But Doug, think about that for a minute. On your first day of retirement, I want you to think about the fact that you were involved either as a player, an assistant coach, or an athletic director in essentially 60% of Homewood's football wins. That's amazing.
Well, it just tells you the players we've had over the years, the coaches that we've had, the followers like yourself, our fans. I mean, it's been a total team effort by a lot of people, not just players, coaches, administrators. It takes fans, parents. It takes everybody, and
Of course,
so
of course.
there's a lot of folks have a hand in all that for sure.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, Bob Newton is a big part of that.
No doubt,
Right.
no
But
doubt.
still, I want you to take some personal pride in that, Doug, because that's the main reason, the state championship games aside, that's the main reason why I have decided you're one of our top 10 Homewood football player legends.
Well, I appreciate that. I know you and I are buddies and all, but you've seen quite a few games yourself,
I've seen
and
a lot of Homewood football.
you ought to count up all the number of games you've witnessed over the years and wins for that matter. You've seen quite a few.
Witnessed and being involved, in the outcome are two different things, Doug.
Well, I mean, maybe so, but you're there pulling us on, and one thing I've always respected about you, you're a student of the game, I guess per se, and you're not somebody out there saying things and being derogatory. I mean, when you and I have spoken about things after the games or whatever, the main thing is you're usually spot on, and that's I give you a kudos to that because there's a
Even when
lot
I'm
of them that aren't.
critical, even when I'm
Yeah,
critical.
even when you're sometimes you're very much spot on, and so I appreciate you're paying attention and what's going on and your understanding of the game and that kind of thing, and like I said, being I would arguably our biggest fan,
Well, I
because like I
appreciate
said,
that.
you're there every Friday night whether we're on the road or home, and I'm gonna miss that part knowing it really was kind of comforting knowing you're gonna be there because I always like having you there to kind of keep our folks in line and get them going if they need to be going up there in the bleachers and everything. So
Yeah. Well, I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that,
what
Doug.
you do.
Well, that's enough about me. Okay, you also know that when I interview Coach, I do this goofy little thing that I call rapid fire, where I ask him, just kind of silly questions and have him answer.
All
So
right.
get ready. I'm going to do the same thing to you.
Okay.
Who was your favorite teacher at Homewood?
Teacher. Oh man. I'm gonna say Miss Talbert.
Nice choice.
And the reason why is she challenged me and would kind of question, say you're not gonna be able to make an A on this test or whatever, and kind of try to push my buttons, and I'd say I'm gonna show her. And she knew how to get the best out of me, so I really did. She was probably my favorite.
Okay, related to that, what was your favorite subject?
Probably at that time was probably math, math courses for sure. But it wasn't my favorite in college for sure. I didn't like math in college, but in high school I really did enjoy it.
Okay, Doug. The year is 1986. It's the summer, and you're cruising around through Homewood on a Friday night. What's probably playing on your tape deck?
Kiss Asylum.
Yes.
I just know it was they were from 1980. It was a 1985, but I had that tape in my tape deck for sure.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Okay, where are you cruising to?
I could have been going to Dairy Queen in Hoover, possibly the Galleria, probably a baseball game, probably West Homewood Park or somewhere like that in the summertime for sure. So one of those three spots probably.
You remember going up there to Hoover Square and driving around the looper out there in Hoover?
I didn't drive a loop. I'd park and go stand up there. But yeah, I do remember
I
that very much.
I would drive the loop because I was usually riding with Lamoureux, and you remember he had that what was it, about a '68 Mustang?
Yeah, had something like that. Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful, and I used to love to ride around in that thing with him. What was your favorite Homewood restaurant?
Well, I've got two, I'm gonna say.
All right.
One kind of low, it's kind of cheap or not as fancy, but Shoney's was right by my house. I loved going to Shoney's, getting a hot fudge cake.
Yes,
That was,
Doug, I miss Shoney so bad. You know, there's only like three of them left in the
I
state.
know, I do miss that, but also Lavoie's was also a good
Oh
favorite of
yeah.
mine. The Italian, yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much so.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You remember hanging out at Mr. Gaddy's on Friday nights after the football games?
Sure do. Yes,
Yeah, those were the days, man. Which leads to the very last question. If you could go back in time and relive any time in your Homewood life as a student, what would it be?
I'd like to have one game back. I'll say that
Okay, let's
last
hear it.
football for sure.
That
I'd like
state championship game.
Exactly. I'd like to go back and replay that maybe back then, not now, but back then, I'd like to do that. But that's probably my only, I don't say regret, but the only thing I'd like to have a do-over on, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you. There probably a lot of Homewood players that were there that night probably feel the exact same way. But Doug, I appreciate your time. You were definitely a Homewood legend. I hope your retirement goes great.
Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be around. You know where I am.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Yep.